Hello. Now, in these difficult times, many of you now have decamped from work, been provided with a laptop, and are going to try and work from home. And I hope your employer has given you some sound advice and support in that area. And I don't want to cut across any of that and any company policies. In this video, I'm just going to give you some ideas that we know work because we've been doing this for a while, helping people optimize their energy, reduce their stress, improve their productivity. In that home office setting, there are some other challenges around that. So I'm going to rattle for you a few things that I've just noted down that I think could really help enhance your working from home experience and get the best out of it. So first of all, let's think about your uniform, your workwear. You can see today I'm wearing a Zax t-shirt because I've been working on Zax today, which is my other business, which in hospitality sector has seen some serious challenges over this virus. So I've got my Zax t-shirt on. I even put my little cap on to create my feeling of American dinerism. Put that hat on and I'm ready for work. Another great tip to get yourself ready for work is obviously trying to get the structure of the day that you actually get up at the same sort of time and start work at the same sort of time. Obviously, you've got the ultimate freedom that you can be a bit more flexible about start and finish times, which may well be great for you, but actually putting some structure in so it feels more like work. You could try, like if you're able to, with the way your house is laid out, like to leave the front door in the morning and walk around to your back door and re-enter the house, just to psychologically tell yourself you're now starting work. Then move into the structure of the day itself. Think about how you can structure that day, and I would suggest that you chunk your day down into some clear sections. I find 90 minutes works really well. There's some research to suggest that that is a good time for work, but it depends on what you're doing really and your concentration span. But I'm working in 90-minute segments, then I'm going to take a 15-minute break. Then I'll do that again after in the latter part of the morning. Then I'll take my lunch break, and then I'll do that again in the afternoon before I finish. So I've done 6 hours chunks of work in that period, possibly a bit more, but I've had plenty of breaks. And in those breaks, make sure you get away from the desk, make sure you completely do something different, get away from your tech, get outside. You might, because of you're losing your commute, you're losing that bit of travel to work. So find ways to get outside if you can, if the weather's good, and just try and get what little vitamin D is out there in the world. There's not much vitamin D up there in the sky at the moment, which you get from sunlight, but just try and get out in the sunshine, try and get out in the daylight, and get yourself a little bit of exercise. We're allowed to go out and exercise at the moment still. A lot of gyms and things are shut, but we're still allowed to run, cycle, etc., walk. But if you still, even if you can't do that right now, by the time you're watching this video, even if there's some sort of sanctioning around leaving the house, then you can go for a little run around the garden or just create a little vigorous exercise routine to just get the blood flowing and get yourself moving. So that's kind of the structure of the day. Where are you going to work is the next question I'm going to ask you, because if you're just going to sit up the kitchen table, which may be your only opportunity, may be the only place you can do, and the kids are in the house or other people are in the house that you share with, where are you going to get that private space? Where are you going to do that? Can you create a makeshift office in a spare bedroom, in a dining room that you hardly use? Can you create a space that you can call work, that you can shut the door on? Because you're going to have this problem at home that when work's at home, which is bad enough with these things anyway, that you're not going to know where to start work and where to stop work. So find a room if you can that you can shut off and say that's work and this is home. Create that segregation. Okay. So that's covered that, taking regular breaks. Next, I'd like to talk about movement as well. I've talked about a little bit of exercise in your breaks, but what about movement? I mean, I've got the privilege of having a home office, which is a beautiful home office, which is out in my garden. I'm away from the family. I can have that privacy to get on with what I need to do. But if you haven't got that, I've got this lovely sit-stand desk but what can you do to move around a bit more in your workspace that you've got? You could stack some boxes on your desk if it's okay to do so from a supporting your wrist point of view, to give yourself the feeling of a sit-stand desk. You could just make sure you're moving around regularly and moving from different positions. Maybe the dining table, if you're working there, maybe you need to get up and have a bit of a stretch every 20 minutes or so, just so that you're not getting too stiff, because you're probably not on an official company chair with the proper ergonomics. So just be aware of that. Plenty of stretching and moving about gently at regular intervals. The next point I want to really talk about was about social interaction. You have got the benefit, hopefully it'll be a benefit, not a problem, to be closer to your family. So that's great, or your friends, or whoever you house share with, if you do have other people in the house. But don't forget that other social interaction, particularly with work. So make sure you're scheduling in time, particularly if you're a line manager with your direct reports. Make sure you're scheduling in time to speak to people at work, speak to your clients, speak to your suppliers, whoever you would normally speak to in the course of a normal working day. But schedule that rather than rely on it just happening. So we're all remote working at Zach's at the moment, so we're having a daily update call. We had a daily update call at 12 today, a video call so we could all see each other. We're 4 people in 4 different locations, all remote working. So we were able to have that interaction and continue to have that interaction. Whether it's a phone call, whether it's a video call, make sure you're doing that. Your clients will be probably quite pleased to have that meeting that they haven't got round to yet. Probably maybe not this week because everybody's still trying to find their feet. But in the next couple of weeks, if we continue in this pattern, which we're likely to, then there's a good opportunity to have that call with that client that perhaps has been putting you off because they haven't had time. So just think about that social interaction with your family, with your colleagues, your customers, suppliers, and other people you deal with. You've also, probably not this week again, because everybody's a little bit in panic mode and there's a lot of unknowns at the moment, but as this thing progresses, you can have a real opportunity to get on top of all that to-do list, maybe get the inbox a little bit better under control or empty, strike off some of those things you've been putting off, some of those things you've been meaning to get round to. So there's a real opportunity to be efficient and effective and get kind of all the things done we mean to get done, so that when we get back to the office, when this thing's over, actually we're going to be raring to go and ready to really put in a great piece of work. Okay. My next thought was around learning. You've got a brilliant opportunity while you're at home to do some proper learning and reflection. I mean, our programs are all digital and online, and many others are. So there's plenty of resources, whether it's reading books, listening to podcasts, listening to audio books, or doing some proper online learning. You've got this great opportunity to use this time to really restock the knowledge bank and rebuild and go back to work with increased vigour and enthusiasm. I remember a few years ago, after I sold a business, before I then went on to another role, I had the benefit of having 2 months off, and I just read and read and read for those 2 months. Well, it's particularly in areas that I was weak in for the new role I was taking. And I started that new role with such vigour because I filled my sort of weaponry, my arsenal up with all of this information that I could then deploy. So there's a great opportunity to do that in this time. But this is a stressful time, so I just want to talk a little bit about stress management. Now, we've got loads of tools and techniques we could help you with if you're really feeling anxious, and do reach out if you want some help and support there. But I just wanted to say a couple of things around stress management. First thing I want to say is, yes, this is really worrying, and there might be some really serious things for you. If you've got elderly or ill relatives, then it's a really concerning time. Both my parents are very unwell and both in their 70s, so that's a really worrying thing. But whilst I'm worried about it, there's a lot about that situation I cannot do anything about. So, and it's easy for me to say and harder for us to do, but we've got to try and focus on the things that we can control and influence. So what about my parents' health can I do something about? And that's where I need to focus my energy and attention on around my parents, rather than the generic worry of the fact that they're in an at-risk group. Because worrying about what might happen is only going to cause us more stress and anxiety, and then cause us more problems. So let's try and reframe that and look at the positives. Just like at work as well, as I've just said, the other business I'm involved in is in a very difficult place. We're just looking positively about how we can make the most of this and come out of this fighting and strong, which we will do. So let's have a reframe. But then actually, if we are feeling it, say there's hundreds of tools and techniques we could recommend that might help for you, but I'm just going to talk about 2 or 3 things. Firstly, the practice of being mindful. If you have tried meditation before and have let it lapse, maybe this is a time to try and give that another crack. Use something like the Headspace app or Calm, or there's other online resources. There's plenty of videos on YouTube, etc. You don't need definitely don't need to leave the house to meditate. There's plenty of resources. But other mindful practices, if meditation's not for you, perhaps going for a walk. If you're still allowed to go out for a walk, and if you've got a pet, you might hear some scratching at the moment because my dog is trying to get in this room as I'm recording this video. But take the dog around the block. Don't take your headphones, don't take your phone. Just have a mindful walk, just take in the sights and sounds of the walk and just recharge that way. Just distract your brain from all of the noise that's going on. Another great technique is just some simple centering breathing. So just breathing in and out and focusing on your center. So visualizing your center, your core here, and just breathing in and out. So and just 3 to 5 breaths will just give you that moment to take stock and calm the mind down. And you can hear in my voice, that just calmed me, just doing that. And finally, look after your health. I've talked about a bit of exercise and moving more and making sure you don't stay too sedentary, but think about making sure that you've got plenty of this stuff. Making sure you're drinking regularly, you're in a different routine to the work routine. You might have a good routine about drinking at work. You may be following my previous advice about taking a water bottle into work. You're at home now, you're not at work. So just make sure you're getting plenty of liquid, that you're getting your 6 to 8 cups a day, and that you're eating the right choices. You're surrounded by all the stuff at home that might be tempting. I know people have been stockpiling and buying pasta and high calorie dense things as we all sort of try and go into survival mode, which is a natural reaction. That's our emotional brain protecting us, going for those high fat, high sugar items in the supermarket. But just try and make some better choices at home. Try and fill your body with the right things. You've got the benefit of you've got your own kitchen at your disposal. So just think about what you're going to eat rather than shoving stuff in from the snack drawer. And everybody knows my videos before, knows my views on the snack drawer and what to do with it, but I'll save that for another day. So that was just a real quick rattle through of the things that I thought were important. That's not an exhaustive list. I'm sure there's more things that you could think of, and please do, if you've got other tips and ideas, do put them in the feed on this video. And thank you for watching, and stay safe.